Stop to think that despite all your knowledge, intelligence, everything you've read, studied, or lived through, you still react automatically to certain situations? You explode with anger over small things, freeze when you should act, and find yourself replaying a comment you heard days ago? Deep down, you know it shouldn't be like this. The problem is that being smart is not enough. Having a high IQ, mastering logic, or being articulate doesn't guarantee wisdom. Knowing a lot might boost your ego, but won't solve internal conflicts. What does solve, or at least start solving, is what you do with all that knowledge. It's about how you organize and direct your own mind. The human mind is like fertile ground. It blossoms with whatever is repeatedly planted there. Believe it or not, most of the seeds growing within you weren't planted by you. They were thrown by past experiences, unresolved fears, phrases you heard as a child, models you replicate unconsciously. What you call personality is often just programming, a conditioned reaction. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but the interpretations we give them. This insight is both powerful and uncomfortable, because if it's the interpretation that hurts me, then I'm hurting myself, not others, not the event itself. The world provokes, but I'm the one who suffers. And in this case, suffering is an unconscious choice. The good news is that this choice can become conscious. You can reprogram your mind. You can shift from being a product of the world to being the author of your own story. But this requires something more challenging than reading books or getting good grades. It requires mental discipline. Reprogramming is about reconstructing, brick by brick, how you relate to the world. It begins with presence. Stopping your usual reactions and asking yourself, is this real or just a repetition of the past? Am I choosing or just repeating? How many times have you caught yourself saying, "I'm just like this," as if it's a sentence, as if you're a fixed, unchangeable being, trapped in an identity you might not even have consciously chosen? But the truth is different. You're not fixed. You are simply acting this way now. What you intentionally repeat becomes part of who you are. Modern neuroscience has shown that the brain is plastic. It changes, adapts, learns. Stoicism said the same thing over 2,000 years ago, calling it virtue, training, moral choice. It's not just biological, it's ethical and spiritual. It's about constructing a self that can handle the realities of life without losing internal balance. Most people live at the mercy of their emotions, becoming hostages to intrusive thoughts, believing that feeling something is the same as being that something. But emotions aren't identity. Emotions are data. They pass if you allow them to pass. But for that, you must become bigger than them. You must create a space between stimulus and response. This space is called clarity. Reprogramming your mind means creating this space, realizing that you are neither what you feel nor what you think. You are the consciousness observing all this and choosing what to do next. This consciousness only grows with practice. It doesn't happen instantly or install itself like a new app. It's forged in everyday life, in the actions you take when no one is watching. It starts with what you consume, what you read, who you talk to, what you repeat. It includes how you speak to yourself. Do you constantly criticize yourself? Do you belittle yourself? Do you say, "This will never work"? That's what's programming your mind. The words you use inside your head are seeds growing in your reality. That's why one of the simplest yet transformative practices is writing. Write about what you felt, why you felt it, and what it taught you. Stoic journaling isn't a sentimental diary. It's a laboratory for self-awareness. It's where you turn experience into wisdom. The more you write, the more you observe. And the more you observe, the more you choose. Another powerful practice is using reason as your guide, not cold, mechanical reason, but reason as a lighthouse. Stoics don't suppress emotions. They illuminate emotions with reason. When feeling angry, they don't pretend everything's okay. They investigate their anger. When afraid, they don't run away. They look fear in the eye and ask, "What exactly am I running from?" This kind of mind isn't built in a day or a month. It's a process. Sometimes you'll stumble, reverting to old reactions, getting lost in thoughts. But having clarity that you're on a path is already significant. Returning to awareness is part of the training. Returning to yourself is also a victory. Many of your pains arise from three major illusions: the idea that you need everyone's approval, that failing is the end, and that you can't change. But these are beliefs, not truths. Right now, you have the power to choose different beliefs, beliefs that support your freedom rather than your imprisonment. You don't have to control everything, but you must control what's essential: your mind, your choices, your responses. This is real power. This is maturity. And yes, it's possible, even if you've spent decades being another kind of person. Intelligence is useful, of course, but without emotional clarity, it becomes arrogance. Without internal control, it turns into self-sabotage. That's why the world is filled with brilliant people who are internally destroyed. Being intelligent without direction is like holding a sword without knowing how to use it. And this is precisely where the next crucial step begins: valuing only what is within our control.
The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. Marcus Aurelius said that the only way to master our destiny is to have control over what is within our reach, while also giving value to these things that we actually possess. In the past, with fewer external stimuli and less social exposure due to the internet, this task was a little easier. However, nowadays, having control over our destiny may seem like an impossible task. Therefore, we decided to approach ways for you not to depend on anyone and master your own destiny. If you like personal growth and increased wisdom, this content is for you. So subscribe to the channel and leave your like, thus helping us produce more content. This video is over an hour long for you to find peace within yourself through the teachings of Stoicism. Here, we will address various topics broadly, which, if you truly incorporate, will greatly enhance your quality of life. Remember that you don't need to watch all the content at once, but if you can, even better. Furthermore, you can always come back here when you want to better assimilate the content. To begin, I want to say that this content will be practical for your life, but I won't specifically address it in separate topics. Therefore, try to understand that things are all interconnected and they only make sense as a whole. Over the next few minutes, we will unveil the secret to happiness through amor fati, that is, love of fate, learning to embrace everything life has in store for us. We will explore the dichotomy of life, a powerful tool to help us make clear decisions and achieve serenity amidst chaos. We will also identify anti-stoic habits that we should avoid to maintain tranquility and lucidity in our lives. Moreover, we will discover how we can become masters of our own lives, incorporating the Stoic routine, cultivating calmness and inner invincibility. We will learn to apply Marcus Aurelius's reflections to create full and productive days, while mastering the art of avoiding procrastination, using Stoicism as our compass. In this dizzying modern world, finding peace and purpose can be a challenge. But don't worry, Stoicism has the answer. Explore the wisdom and practicality of this ancient philosophy and learn how to create a daily routine that will lead you to unparalleled balance, growth, and serenity. Stoicism is your ally on the journey to a more virtuous life, with figures like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius as guides. This philosophy has withstood the test of time and remains relevant to help you become stronger, calmer, and fully satisfied, ready to transform your life. Join us on this self-discovery adventure as we explore how to create a morning and evening routine that will propel you towards greatness. Wake up every morning with determination and excitement. Reflect on the 4 cardinal virtues wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. They are the moral compass for making wise and courageous decisions, always seeking balance in all aspects of life. Gratitude will be your powerful ally. Embrace gratitude for all the blessings, experiences, and people that enrich your existence. You will discover how appreciation fills you with joy and frees you from any trace of dissatisfaction. Anticipate the day with a powerful perspective. Practice negative visualization by facing potential challenges and wisely preparing to adapt and grow in the face of adversity. Through writing, you will give life to Stoic magic. Keep a journal where you record your intentions, emotions, and observations. This will be a beacon of wisdom and guidance, reminding you of your path even in the most challenging moments. Be prepared to face the world with Stoic elegance. Learn to maintain focus and productivity in a world full of distractions. Practice justice and compassion in every interaction, opening your heart to a deeper understanding of the human experience. Face stress with composure and perspective, remembering that you can only control what is in your hands. Wisdom will guide you. Night falls, and it's time to recharge. Reflect on the day's events, learn from your experiences, and grow with every step. Accept imperfection and commit to constant improvement. Set your intentions for tomorrow and trace a powerful and courageous path. A future full of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance awaits you. Be the architect of your life, using Stoicism as your tool. Personalize your journey to success, finding the formula that fits your dreams, values, and daily commitments. Stoicism is versatile. Make it yours. Maintain your passion for your Stoic practice and establish a constant and consistent routine. Stoicism offers you a path of transformation and growth. Discover the magic of bringing Stoicism into every aspect of your life. Infuse wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance into your relationships, work, and personal projects. In a world of change and uncertainty, Stoicism will be your guide to balance, resilience, and inner peace. Embrace life with purpose and clarity in the Stoic path. Move forward with strength and conviction. Wisdom is almost always by your side, and each day will be an opportunity to grow and learn. May clarity and serenity always accompany you in your quest for a full and meaningful life. Practice gratitude and wake up with a heart full of joy and abundance. With the 4 cardinal virtues lighting your way, direct your attention to all the blessings that enrich your life. You will discover that appreciation and gratitude will dissolve any shadow of dissatisfaction or persistent desire. In this state of sincere gratitude, you will receive the day with a feeling of fullness and happiness, focusing on what really matters. Cultivate the habit of being grateful for all good and thank constantly, for all things have contributed to your progress. You must include them all in your gratitude. Prepare yourself for the day with negative visualization. Imagine the possible challenges and setbacks that may arise. But don't worry, you are prepared to face them with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. By contemplating these scenarios and their potential outcomes, you will develop a silent resilience, ready to adapt and grow in the face of adversity. This exercise will allow you to navigate the uncertainties of the day calmly, without being shaken by the fluctuations of fate. Now it's time to put your wisdom and reflections on paper. Keeping a journal is a powerful tool used by Stoics, like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius. Dedicate a few moments every morning to write about your intentions, emotions, and observations. By doing so, you'll create a beacon of wisdom and warmth to guide you through the challenges of modern life. As we progress through the ever-changing landscape of daily life, we may face moments that test our determination. But don't worry, Stoicism has the answer through a series of Stoic strategies. You will maintain balance, cultivate resilience, and embark on the journey of life with grace and strength. When stress arises, remember that wisdom is within you. Seek refuge in reason and reflection. Focus your energy on what you can control and let go of what is not in your hands. In this way, you will respond to stress with composure, resilience, and wisdom. The main task in life is simply this: to identify and separate things so that you can clearly say what is external and uncontrollable and what is under your choices and control, where to seek good and evil, not outside the uncontrollable, but within yourself and your choices. Remember Epictetus's words on your path towards gratitude and resilience. Stoicism will guide you with its timeless wisdom. Wake up with the certainty that each day is an opportunity to grow, learn, and become stronger. Embrace life with purpose and clarity on the Stoic path to a full and meaningful life. Transform distractions into opportunities for productivity. In the whirlwind of modern life, distractions constantly lurk. But as a brave Stoic, you cultivate the virtue of temperance, practicing self-discipline and moderation. When these distractions appear, accept them, but gently direct your attention to the task at hand. This will nurture inner calm and allow you to harness the power of your mind to achieve your goals. When interacting with others, manifest the Stoic virtues of justice, wisdom, and compassion. Each encounter offers the opportunity to leave a positive and lasting impression. Be aware of the impact of your words and actions on those around you through each interaction. Learn, grow, and deepen your understanding of the human experience. Today, I will face interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. All this is due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or bad. But for my part, I have long recognized the nature of good and its nobility, the nature of evil and its pettiness, and also the nature of the offender himself, who is my brother, not in a physical sense, but as a fellow human, endowed with reason and a portion of the divine. Therefore, none of this can harm me, for no one can involve me in what is degrading. I also cannot be angry with my brother or be upset with him, because he and I were born to work together, just as the two hands, feet, or eyelids of a man, or the upper and lower rows of his teeth, obstructing each other is contrary to the law of nature, and what irritation or aversion is a form of obstruction. Marcus Aurelius teaches us to embrace adversity and flourish in resilience. On the journey of life, we encounter unexpected challenges in times of adversity that can either strengthen us or break us as brave Stoics. See these challenges as opportunities for growth. Cultivate the courage and wisdom to face adversity with grace, practicing negative visualization. Trust the inner resilience you've nurtured along your Stoic path. In this way, you will turn trials into valuable lessons, steps on your path towards growth and personal fulfillment. Prepare for an evening full of wisdom and reflection. With the sun setting and the day coming to an end, turn your gaze inwards, reflect on the day's events, identifying challenges, decisions, and lessons. As Seneca said, I will constantly keep watch over myself, and even more useful, I will put each day under review, because this is what makes us evil. None of us look back on our own lives. We only reflect on what we are about to do, but our plans for the future descend from the past. Forgive yourself and move towards personal improvement. Practice self-forgiveness with compassion and understanding. Recognize that personal growth is a continuous process. Learn from your mistakes and commit to improvement. Nurture inner peace and self-acceptance while continuing to evolve on your Stoic path. Set intentions for the new dawn with the wisdom gained throughout the day. Set intentions for the following day. Incorporate Stoic virtues into your actions, decisions, and interactions. In this way, you will create a model for a harmonious and purposeful life, guided by the principles of Stoicism. Immerse yourself in an evening of relaxation before giving in to sleep. Practice relaxation techniques such as deep breathing or meditative visualization. Calm your mind and body, releasing the day's tensions. Thus, you'll dive into restful sleep, ready to welcome each new day as an opportunity to grow and learn. The world seems to be able to give us the best and the worst. Often, we find joy, satisfaction, happiness, love, and health. However, on many other occasions, we encounter suffering, pain, death, illness, and misfortune. Life, fair or unfair, seems to be a river whose course we cannot control. And often, whether we want to or not, we can only go along with it. Epictetus said, "Don't fight the strings of fate. Embrace them, for it is only in accepting them that you find inner peace." Within Stoicism, this acceptance or embrace of one's own fate is known as amor fati. This implies loving one's life with all its joys and misfortunes as the most perfect gift one could have received. This seems very easy to say, but impossible to do. How could we love suffering? How can we demonstrate gratitude, for example, for the death of loved ones? How can we find beauty in pain? Anyone could think that the Stoics were out of their minds in developing a doctrine like amor fati. But nothing is further from reality. They knew perfectly well what they were saying. Why? Because being a Stoic like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or Epictetus, loving one's own existence to the limit with its bright and dark moments, was the best opportunity to achieve virtue and find true happiness. Marcus Aurelius said, "Love your fate, no matter what form it takes, because only through the acceptance of each moment can you find true serenity." And Seneca added, "Amor fati is to love the totality of your existence, including your mistakes and failures, as they are opportunities to learn and grow in wisdom." The doctrine of amor fati is undoubtedly one of the most difficult to practice within Stoicism. However, difficult does not mean impossible. It simply means that it requires a lot of effort. Don't forget that the things that are hard to attain are the most valuable. A great part of our happiness is at stake in amor fati. Therefore, it's worth trying with all the strength we can muster. In this video, I'll try to help you practice the doctrine of amor fati so that you can be more virtuous and happy. For this, I'll divide the video into two parts. First, I'll try to explain what fate means for a Stoic and why it should be loved. Then, I'll give you 5 pieces of advice to put this doctrine into practice and persevere in it gradually. Before we start, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, as it helps spread this philosophy to more people. If you don't want to miss any videos, subscribe and turn on the bell. The ancient Stoics believed that chance did not exist. They believed that everything in the world worked thanks to necessary and rational laws made by the gods themselves. Therefore, they understood the universe as a whole, whose parts were in perfect order and harmony. Thus, everything that happened in the world had an explanation, a purpose, and a reason. That is, everything followed a rational law. For the Stoics, this rational law that governs the universe is also within the human being. Within their consciousness, this allows the person to know what is rational and virtuous. Therefore, whoever follows what the conscience says becomes rational and virtuous, while those who deviate from the law of the universe present in the mind of man become irrational and move away from virtue. The rational plan that the cosmos established for each of us is what we can call fate. Our individual destiny is part of this harmonious whole that is the universe. Therefore, everything that happens to us, whether good or bad, even if we cannot understand or control it, is necessary and has an explanation. Everything follows a logic and has a meaning, even if we can't always see it. That's why, even in the worst moments, we need to strive to see beyond ourselves. Accepting the established order for us is living with serenity. That is what it means to love one's destiny. However, it is very important to distinguish between acceptance and resignation. Resignation is negative. It implies refusing to act in the face of what displeases us. On the other hand, acceptance is positive. It recognizes what is there and guides action according to the things that happen to us. As you can sense, a Stoic avoids resignation and seeks acceptance. And in acceptance, the Stoic dichotomy of control is fundamental. Generally, the events of the universe, such as health or sickness, disasters or miracles, life or death, are not under our control. We cannot change them, and that's why our hearts should not be affected by them. What is under our control, however, is our judgment about what happens in our will. As Epictetus said very well, the will can control itself, but nothing else can control it. We have the great power to choose what we do and how we react to the circumstances and desires imposed on us. We can choose between fleeing from our own destiny or accepting it and facing it as the path that has been assigned to us and in which we must seek our happiness. This is what consists of the Stoic freedom: to choose to accept our destiny and align our will with virtue and good. Or, on the other hand, to choose to reject our reality and seek vice and evil. The essence of good and evil lies in the attitude of the will, says Epictetus. And Marcus Aurelius would add, as for things that are truly good, such as virtue and justice, they are within man's power, provided by the gods so he can avoid them if he so desires. In any situation, whatever it may be, it is in our hands to react by seeking good or seeking evil. For example, if we are ill, we can fight to try to recover and live the best way possible, even when sick, or we can give up, become irrational, not take care of ourselves, and become angry with everything and everyone. If we seek virtue and good and align ourselves with our conscience, that is, if everything that happens in our life, whether good or bad, enriches our existence and makes us better, we will become masters of the 4 Stoic virtues. Good moments will bring us joy, although we must remember that they will not be eternal. Bad moments will make us strong and test us, and although they are very difficult, they will make us better people in the end. Remember that these bad moments will also pass, and they are as necessary, if not more than the moments of well-being. Therefore, to practice amor fati, we also need the virtue of courage. We need to be brave to face all the storms that surprise and assail us. Thus, anyone who practices amor fati will also control the virtues of justice and wisdom. They will learn to give each moment what it deserves. And above all, they will know the rational law that governs the world and that makes our individual destiny the best gift we have to move towards a full life and true happiness. As you've seen in the doctrine of amor fati, it sets in motion the 4 Stoic virtues and invites us to give the best of ourselves. It implies loving our own destiny and understanding that our own life is the best and most beautiful opportunity we have to strive for virtue and for a full existence. Don't you think a life without struggle and without the pursuit of happiness wouldn't be worthwhile? Moreover, isn't it true that there is no happiness without sacrifice and no surrender without acceptance of what has been given to us? We must love our own destiny and align our will to fulfill what reason tells us, as this is the Stoic path toward true and full happiness. I would like to share with you several historical quotes about amor fati. Seneca says, "Fate leads those who accept it and drags those who refuse to acknowledge it." He also points out that there is no one less fortunate than the man who is forgotten by adversity because he does not have the opportunity to be tested. In turn, Marcus Aurelius writes, "It is characteristic of man to love and seek what fate has attributed and prepared for him." And Epictetus could add, "Do not seek that events happen as you wish, if you don't wish for events as they happen, and your life will go well." What do you think of the Stoic doctrine of amor fati? Are you in agreement with your destiny? Is there any circumstance in your life that you are unable to accept? Is there one that you have embraced exactly as it happened? I await your response in the comments. The man who recognizes the chains to which he is bound will be free. for consciously, he can break them in a fast-paced and constantly changing world in which we live. Often, we let ourselves be carried away by not only counterproductive, but also destructive habits. The Stoics emphasize the importance of focusing on what we can control, freeing ourselves from the chains of unbridled emotions and erratic impulses and lust. Today, I share with you 6 destructive habits that I myself have had and that are very common in the modern world. These habits can obstruct our mental peace, our personal growth, and our ability to live a virtuous life. Before going through these points, I ask that you try to be self-critical, looking at yourself in the third person. This will allow you to analyze which of these 6 bad habits are affecting you, and then take full responsibility to confront them. First habit is postponing commitments. This is an insidious habit that we all tend to adopt. Although it may seem harmless, however, it has serious consequences. Procrastination means putting off something that could or should be done now. This results in a loss of time and energy as we constantly think about what needs to be done, but we don't act. Stoicism teaches us that postponing can lead to not fulfilling our personal and professional obligations, as well as harming the quality of our work, affecting our reputation and the trust others have in us. Valuing integrity and fulfilling duties, the Stoics viewed postponement as one of the greatest lacks of respect that someone can commit towards themselves. Procrastination results in increased stress and anxiety as tasks pile up and deadlines approach. This constant tension affects our mental and physical health, distancing us from mental clarity and a peaceful mind. Imagine that you have an important project with a deadline. Instead of dividing the work into manageable parts and consistently working on it, you delay and leave it until the last minute. The pressure mounts, and now you are stressed and overwhelmed, struggling to meet the deadline. Planning the work and fulfilling duties is a favor you do for yourself. It's more viable to split the work across several days rather than piling everything in one go. The habit of postponing commitments is destructive, going against the principles of Stoicism, leading to loss of time, unfulfilled obligations, and increased stress and anxiety. We can combat it by practicing planning, self-discipline, and focusing on our responsibilities and values. To avoid this, I recommend never promising something under strong emotion, especially when you're euphoric. This is because emotions of the moment are often a basis of decisions. Instead of clear thought before committing, carefully evaluate in moments of solitude. Do not promise anything when you are happy and avoid impulsive decisions. The second habit is lying. Lying is a widely adopted habit in modern society, but it's deeply destructive. The liar is a victim of their own fears, and sooner or later will be caught by them. Lying harms truth and integrity. The Stoics valued honesty and truth as pillars of a virtuous life. When we lie, we distance ourselves from these ideals and compromise our own character. Furthermore, lying diminishes the quality of relationships and results in loss of trust. Lies can erode the trust others have in us. When a lie is discovered, it's hard to regain the lost trust. Mutual trust and respect were fundamental for the Stoics in healthy and enriching relationships. Lying creates an alternate reality that can entangle us in a labyrinth of deception, leading to an increasingly complex and exhausting cycle of lies. This creates unnecessary stress and anxiety. For example, suppose you see sensationalist news on social media and immediately share it without verifying the information or considering the source. Later, you discover the news was false. You feel deceived and embarrassed. Additionally, by sharing the news, you spread misinformation and could have negatively influenced the opinions and actions of others. Believing everything we hear is a destructive habit that inhibits critical thinking and makes us susceptible to manipulation and undue influence. It's necessary to fact-check information, learn to contrast sources, and above all, develop our own judgments. A person without their own criteria and without the authority to apply their own conclusions is manipulated by the modern world and used by other people. The fourth habit is a lack of communication skills. Effective communication is an essential skill in our personal and professional relationships. It seems that we have lost the value of good language and communication skills. This is reflected in today's poor conversations, where people are no longer interested in each other and don't truly listen to what the other person is saying. Lack of communication skills can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts. The Stoics recognize the importance of harmony and cooperation in our relationships. Poor communication can jeopardize these ideals if we don't know how to communicate effectively. We will have difficulty expressing our needs and feelings. This can lead to dissatisfaction, frustration, and resentment. The Stoics valued authenticity and self-expression, which are crucial for quality conversations. We are naturally inclined to associate and communicate effectively. Conversations should be exchanges of value between participants. Talking to another person should be enriching and not futile. Not knowing how to communicate is a destructive habit that can lead to misunderstandings, conflicts, and difficulties in expressing our needs and feelings. I recommend expanding your communication skills and your vocabulary by reading or consuming valuable content. The practice of active listening was something that benefited me greatly. Instead of thinking about how you'll respond, focus on the conversation and pay attention to what the person is saying. This will make the dialogue flow and make the other person feel valued while speaking to you. With continuous practice, your communication will reach excellence. The fifth habit is constant comparison with others. I know you're highly competitive. Even if it's not intentional, you want to do better than others. But this is a recurring habit that can undermine self-esteem and satisfaction. With life, constant comparison can lead to dissatisfaction and unhappiness, as we always find someone who seems to have more success or wealth or talent. The Stoics teach us to focus on our own development and appreciate what we have, instead of constantly comparing ourselves to others. Constantly comparing ourselves to others can make us lose our identity and authenticity because we may try to change who we are to fit into standards or expectations. Remember that this is not useful in the long run, because you may pretend, but you will end up being who you are. The Stoics encourage us to be true to ourselves and to live according to our own values and principles. Imagine that you always compare yourself to your colleagues at work, feeling that you're never good enough and always need to strive harder to match or surpass them. This constant pressure can lead to burnout, dissatisfaction, and unhappiness, distancing you from your true self. Constant comparison with others is a destructive habit that separates you from your identity and authenticity. This changes when you realize it's not worth always keeping an eye on others because you already have what you need at home. If you don't find what you're looking for at home, you can always seek elsewhere. Understand that comparison is futile because you'll never have everything. You'll be much happier when your primary goal is to improve in comparison to who you were yesterday and compete with yourself. The sixth habit is seeking external blame in our lives. In modern society, it's common to see people looking for external reasons for what happens in their lives, instead of taking personal responsibility. This approach removes control and autonomy because by blaming others for our circumstances, we relinquish control over our lives. The Stoics emphasize the importance of recognizing what is within our control and what isn't. Blaming others distances us from this understanding. This habit can lead to a victim mentality and promote emotional dependence, making us highly reliant on others for our stability. When we seek external blame for our lives, we miss the opportunity to learn from our mistakes and grow as individuals. This habit deprives us of personal responsibility. The Stoics remind us to understand and accept what's under our control and take responsibility for it. avoiding the trap of blaming others for our circumstances as valuable individuals. We are called to be aware of these behaviors and work to overcome them, striving to live a life of virtue, wisdom, and inner tranquility. I invite you to reflect on these habits in your own life and be truly self-critical. Remember that only the individual who recognizes the ties to which they are bound can free themselves from them. From here, it's you who builds your own path. Moral evolution doesn't consist of completely erasing old rules, but critically examining them to decide which should remain, which should go, and which new principles should be included. Part of my ethical code as well as yours, I recognize forgiveness and offer it. I treat others as I would like to be treated. I don't covet others' possessions and deeply appreciate the good things life offers me. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. In the city of Cyprus, in the year 300 BCE, lived a very wealthy merchant named Zeno. While on a journey from Phoenicia to Piraeus, his ship sank along with all its cargo. Due to this single event, which was completely beyond Zeno's control, this once very rich man suddenly became poor. Imagine if you were Zeno. How would you react if the work of your entire life was lost due to forces of nature? What would be the appropriate reaction? Would you be angry? Would you feel that life had deceived you? For most of us, these would be normal reactions, but not for Zeno, the father of Stoicism. A small change lasts an eternity, and a small change in mindset can produce greater and more impactful changes. Furthermore, the essence of Stoicism is the very definition of acceptance and indifference. After reading the works of Socrates and other great philosophers, Zeno created and taught Stoicism. According to Zeno, while we have little control over what happens to us, we have control over how it affects us. We should use this control with great effect, rather than lamenting. Zeno focused on maintaining composure in the situation, remaining calm and neutral despite his dilemma. Nowadays, people inadvertently see Stoics as unshakable individuals, people who don't usually experience extreme emotional outbursts, such as fits of anger or anxiety. But the original idea of Stoicism was much deeper. More than describing people without emotions, Stoicism was a way of seeing, describing, and understanding the world. It was a way of living that has endured over the centuries. The philosophy of Stoicism can be applied to current situations in the same way it was applied thousands of years ago, and its benefits are equally impactful. Stoicism allows us to process negative emotions and adverse experiences, transforming them into thoughts that provide us with a unique perspective of the world. Perspective is everything, and each person in the world has different experiences, and therefore different perspectives of things. Just as the Stoics gathered, discussed, and taught philosophy in public places, their general philosophy was widely known. They believed that Stoic principles could greatly benefit everyone, from slaves to emperors. Some of the world's most notable Stoics include Epictetus, who was a freed slave, Seneca, a renowned statesman, and Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and one of the most powerful men who ever lived. The early Stoics practiced what they preached, avoiding all forms of segregation and leading the fight against inequality. They even coined the word cosmopolitan, which literally means citizen of the world. At the time of the foundation of Stoicism, women were not permitted to dedicate themselves to philosophy, but the Stoics strongly disagreed with this. Malzone Rufo, Epictetus's teacher, once said, "Not only do men possess a natural desire and inclination toward virtue, but women do too. Women take pleasure in noble and just actions, no less than men, and they reject the opposite of these actions." So, why do so many people adopt Stoicism as a way of life in a world full of unexpected events? Our emotions tend to obstruct our path. In reality, we aren't sad because bad things happen to us, but because bad and unexpected things happen. Rain is a good thing. It helps water the plants, provides water for livestock, and keeps the temperature cool and moist. But when we're caught in a downpour without an umbrella, it's never a good experience. So why don't we cry when it starts raining? Because although the situation is bad, we've learned to expect it to rain. It's inevitable. We can't control the weather. In the end, the rain passes and the sunshine returns. Stoicism teaches us that in the same way, we should expect all the bad things that happen to happen. One of the Stoic exercises is voluntary discomfort, an exercise intended to increase feelings of gratitude. Sleeping on the floor of your kitchen, taking cold showers when you normally take hot ones, eating only potatoes for a few days, things like that. This exercise helps to understand that no matter how hard things are, you'll survive and potentially thrive if your mindset is correct. By being able to endure these uncomfortable situations, we are indirectly preparing our mindset for future misfortunes. In the current state of the world, where advertising constantly makes us believe that we will only be happy if we have the best, a specific appearance, or a certain amount of money, the message of Stoicism is now more important than ever. We were born into the world without knowing much about anything. We grow up learning things at home, at school, and by observing the world for ourselves. The issue is that these three sources of knowledge often teach us different things. We need to internalize all this knowledge. If we do, we can inadvertently create unrealistic expectations for our lives, eventually leaving us disappointed and dissatisfied. That's not a way to live. We should focus on improving ourselves. We should do things for ourselves, and for that reason alone. Attaching any external hope or secondary attachment to the actions we take almost always leads to disappointment. Most of the time, we try to fill this void with external things, spending money on a luxurious car, a house. Sometimes, we do all these things for their external value and not for their internal value. Stoicism teaches that, on the contrary, we should judge the success of our work based on the amount of effort we put in and not on the outcomes of our external hopes. We should trust the process. Living with less means releasing the social shackles we entangle ourselves in. This is the Stoic path to resolving our problems with happiness. We must practice self-esteem by redirecting our definition of value to things we can control. We can stop obsessing over things we can't control and, in general, lead a much happier and more satisfying life. Stoicism helps us navigate past and present storms toward calmer and more peaceful waters. After all, Stoic philosophy flourished in different times, but its truths have spanned centuries. Today, its lessons resonate deeply, offering guidance and strength to face the challenges of the modern world. Ancient philosophy also teaches us to embrace emotional resilience and acceptance. Through the words of philosophers, we learn to find peace and serenity, even in turbulent times. Stoics like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius believed that true happiness lay not in avoiding difficulties, but in cultivating virtue and self-control, even in the face of the most adverse circumstances. They emphasize the importance of distinguishing between what is under our control, like our attitudes, choices, and values, and what isn't, external events and the behavior of others. By focusing only on what we can control and accepting what we cannot, we can find lasting inner peace. The pursuit of purpose and meaning is a human constant. By exploring the works of existentialist philosophers, we discover how to forge an authentic path aligned with our deepest values. Stoicism also reminds us of the importance of relationships and community. By studying thinkers like Aristotle, we are guided to build genuine connections and nurture bonds that enrich our journey. While the focus of the Stoics is on developing personal virtue and self-mastery, they do not advocate for isolation or indifference towards others. On the contrary, the Stoics believed that interpersonal relationships and communal life were fundamental aspects of achieving virtue and happiness. Seneca, for instance, extensively wrote about friendship and the importance of cultivating genuine and sincere relationships. He argued that friendship was one of life's most precious goods and that we should choose friends who share similar values and goals. Moreover, he emphasized the need to be useful to others and to contribute positively to society. Therefore, both Stoicism and other philosophical systems recognize the importance of human relationships and the construction of a healthy community in the pursuit of a fulfilling and meaningful life. They encourage us to cultivate authentic connections that contribute to our moral and spiritual growth, enriching our personal journey. By incorporating the ancient wisdom of ancient philosophy, you'll be armed with tools to face any challenge and live with authenticity, purpose, and strength. Join us in this quest for excellence and transcendence. Share and start the journey to truly become unbeatable. I wanted to talk to you about something that, unfortunately, happens to all of us. In the morning, when we wake up, most of us don't feel like going to work or school. We spend our days wishing for the time to leave work, to arrive home and relax until the next day. Or we're constantly thinking about the weekend and the anxiety we have for it to come. Hating Mondays is common, as we know we'll face a tough week of work and responsibilities. This unpleasant feeling leads many people to spend their days completely unmotivated and unwilling to do anything. Unfortunately, this behavior can result in depression or great unhappiness for those who suffer from it. In Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius wrote the following: "When you find it difficult to get out of bed at dawn, remember this: I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain about if I'm going to do what I was born for? Or was I born to curl up under the covers and keep warm?" After this reflection, Marcus Aurelius dialogues with himself and answers, "It's more comfortable in bed than working. So you were born to feel comfortable. Don't you see how the plants, birds, ants, spiders, and bees perform their individual tasks, putting the world in order in the best possible way? And you're not willing to do what is due of you. As a human being, we do need to sleep at some point, but nature has imposed a limit on that, just as it did with eating and drinking. And you've had enough." He goes on to state that we don't love ourselves enough, because if we did, we would also love our nature and what it demands of us. People who love what they do dedicate themselves to it. Sometimes they forget to wash or eat. They have more respect for their own nature than the sculptor has for the sculpture, the dancer for the dance, or the miser for money. When they are truly immersed in what they do, they prefer to forgo eating and sleeping rather than abandoning the practices of their arts. When Marcus Aurelius speaks of work, he refers to the actions that a human must perform in their day-to-day life, not just professional work. With this reflection, we are encouraged to take responsibility for our time and our actions. Imagine if he hadn't acted this way, he probably wouldn't be considered one of the 5 good emperors of the Roman Empire. As an emperor, he had to lead the government and couldn't leave his tasks undone, as all the citizens of the Roman Empire depended on him. This can also be applied to our lives. We were not born to act like plants, motionless and without responsibilities. We are human beings, and we must behave as such. Don't let the temptation of momentary pleasure cloud your judgment. There's no better feeling than when you know you've acted correctly, responsibly. Nothing compares to the satisfaction of a job well done. You need to get up. You need to start working. Don't abandon your tasks. The moment is now because you don't know how much time you have. Marcus Aurelius noted this in his personal diary to remember it every day. We should do the same. When in the morning you don't feel like getting up, fulfilling your responsibilities, or are constantly thinking about the weekend, or dreading it's Monday. Remember these words of Marcus Aurelius. Do you have any tricks to avoid this kind of negative thinking? I await your response in the comments. Here I leave 10 historical phrases from famous Stoics to help you start the day. Well, the only way to happiness is to cease worrying about things beyond the power of our will. Start the day remembering that inner strength is more valuable than anything external. We are not disturbed by things, but by the view we take of them. Another's prosperity is not my misery. The secret of happiness is freedom. The secret of freedom is courage. Don't expect events to happen as you wish. Accept them as they happen so that you can live in peace. It is not things themselves that disturb people, but their judgments about those things. Life is short, and the only time suitable for pursuing one's happiness is the present. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Wake up with determination. Go to bed with satisfaction. These phrases can serve as powerful reminders of Stoic principles and help guide your thinking and behavior throughout the day. Probably, if you're watching this video, it's because procrastination is a fundamental problem in your life. In my case, most of my problems arose from procrastination. When you stop doing what you should and keep delaying, things start to come up. All sorts of problems arise. Your productivity decreases, anxiety appears in your life. You start to avoid responsibilities. And worst of all is the constant feeling that you're not doing what you should. The Stoics were very concerned about procrastination. We have examples of Stoic philosophers, such as Seneca or Marcus Aurelius, who had many responsibilities in their lives and could not afford to procrastinate. It's not simple because we prefer instant satisfaction instead of making an effort, as discipline and overcoming procrastination are two tasks that complement each other. Despite not being easy, if you're watching this video, it's because you want to change. You want to start being productive and be the owner of your mind and actions. Overcoming procrastination will make you happier because you will feel at peace with yourself by acting responsibly. It seems incredible that Marcus Aurelius had the same hours in a day as you and I to do his work and fulfill his responsibilities. How did he have time to be an emperor, rule the most extensive and powerful empire of antiquity, be a philosopher, writer, take care of his wife, create laws, attend trials, lead armies, and guide the Roman people to overcome a terrible plague? All this while being just and not falling into the vices or temptations that other emperors fell into. The key to Marcus Aurelius' success is that he always had a routine, developed habits in his life that allowed him to overcome laziness and avoid procrastination. In the end, the key to not procrastinating is to have a routine. Marcus Aurelius converted all his responsibilities into a fundamental part of his life. Just as we need to eat, wash, and sleep, he turned these responsibilities into essentials, to the point where he couldn't live without fulfilling them. All Stoics understood that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. For example, for Marcus Aurelius, the day started early. At dawn, when he woke up, he understood that he was rising to do the work of a human being. There was no time for him to stay in bed. He began the day by writing in his personal diary, dedicating a few minutes to write his thoughts and organize his mind, remembering what was important. Then, he prepared to face his responsibilities and the people around him. He would tell himself, the people you will encounter today will be disrespectful and ungrateful. They will try to irritate and frustrate you. Marcus Aurelius knew that he couldn't let these people affect his judgment and his happiness. He was clear that he had to act as he deemed right. After this, Marcus Aurelius started with his most important responsibilities because he wanted to begin them when he was rested and ready to work. He focused on the task at hand, like a Roman, acting as if it were the most important thing. As he said in his meditations, as seen in his routine, there's no room for procrastination. You might be wondering how you can act like Marcus Aurelius and overcome procrastination. How can you prepare yourself mentally? What tricks can you follow? Next, I will explain 7 tricks that personally helped me avoid procrastination. They are divided into 2 parts. The first will be about preparing the mind to avoid procrastination, and the second will be about actions we can take to overcome procrastination. Part 1. Prepare the mind. Change your focus. Procrastination is a first-world problem. We procrastinate because we can afford it. We must increase the sense of urgency when performing our responsibilities. By procrastinating and setting a deadline to complete what we must do, we end up doing it on the last day. When there is little time left to meet the deadline, it seems that when the last day arrives, laziness disappears. We are productive and act as we should, and this happens because of the sense of urgency. Setting our own dates, limits to fulfill our responsibilities would increase our urgency to work and help overcome procrastination. We might even count on a family member or friend to help us meet this deadline by establishing a consequence if we fail to comply. Part 2. Avoid low-level distraction. Usually, when we procrastinate, the actions that replace what we should do are often low-level distractions. This means that we waste time doing something that doesn't benefit us. We should realize that, besides not adding anything to us, we also don't fully enjoy this distraction, because deep down, we know we should be doing something else. Hence, not only does it not help us at all, but we also don't fully indulge in that distraction. Therefore, we should work first and enjoy later. 3. Rearrange your responsibilities. There are tasks that are difficult or that take a lot of time to complete, and this type of task can overwhelm us and lead us to procrastinate. If I ask you if you can work for 5 hours without getting distracted, probably you can't. But could you work for 1 hour without getting distracted, right? It's more likely that you can do that, and you can do it for 5 minutes. Everyone is capable of working for 5 minutes straight. If we apply this logic to long or difficult tasks, that is, by breaking down these tasks into smaller parts and viewing them as single, shorter, and achievable tasks, facing our responsibilities this way will likely help us overcome procrastination. Every procrastinator knows that the hardest part is always starting the task. Once you begin, you overcome the most challenging part. Force yourself to start. Don't think about how long it will take to finish your task. Don't even think about finishing or the difficulty of what needs to be done. Just start with the first step, because it's the hardest, but also the most important, and it will give you the momentum to proceed to the second step. Being a procrastinator also has its advantage, because once you start, you don't want to stop, as you are aware of the difficulty of restarting or resuming the task. One of the tricks I use in my life to take the first step is the 5-2 rule. It involves counting from 5 down to 0, and when you reach 0, start the task. The idea is to clear your mind, not to think about anything, just to start. Count from 5, and start without personal thinking. This trick helps me a lot in life. Whenever I want to do something that bothers me, I count down from 5 and do it without thinking. 6. The technique is a trick to divide your work time into more manageable portions, making it simpler to face your tasks. It's hard to start working if you think you have 5 hours ahead, for example. But if you divide this time using the Pomodoro technique, you'll be able to handle your work more easily. The technique involves working for 25 minutes straight, and then taking a 5-minute break. That would be 1 Pomodoro. After 4 Pomodoros, take a 20-minute break and repeat the process. Everyone is capable of working for 25 minutes straight, and by doing 4 Pomodoros, we work for 1 hour and 40 minutes, 100 focused, and then rest for 20 minutes. Facing 1 hour and 40 minutes of continuous work is tough. We can get distracted if we're not 100 focused, and perhaps we might not even start because we'd end up procrastinating. But with this trick, you can tackle the work in 25-minute parts that everyone can do with 100 productivity. Eliminate distractions. Our brain always seeks the easiest path. If you have your cell phone near your workspace, a video game, or anything that can distract you, remove all these distractions from your workspace. Design an environment that makes procrastination difficult, where the only thing you can do is finish your task. Start by identifying what prevents you from doing the work and eliminate these distractions from your workspace to prevent procrastination from being easy. Did you like these tips to avoid procrastination? Do you apply any other trick? I await your response in the comments. Remember that we need discipline to effectively apply all the tricks I mentioned earlier. Without discipline and the will to change, we won't achieve anything. The Stoics viewed solitude as a tool for self-discovery and personal growth. Today, we will explore 10 benefits of solitude from a Stoic perspective and how you can apply them in your modern life. 1. The appreciation of solitude in Stoicism. We find a profound appreciation for solitude. Contrary to what modern society often perceives, The Stoics didn't view solitude as a source of sadness. On the contrary, they considered it a valuable space for introspection, self-awareness, and moral growth. In a noisy world filled with distractions, the Stoics saw solitude as a wise teacher, offering moments of peace and isolation in which we can confront our true feelings, desires, and values without the masks we wear in society. The Stoics embraced self-sufficiency or inner independence and emotional control in solitude. They saw it as a way to develop this self-sufficiency because when alone, we didn't depend on the opinions or expectations of others to find peace and happiness for ourselves. Solitude allowed us to develop an internal strength that was not shaken by external fluctuations. 2. Profound self-knowledge. An important theme of Stoic philosophy, a profound self-knowledge. Solitude provides a safe space for us to look inward and explore the hidden corners of our minds and hearts that we rarely consider. Imagine solitude as a mirror that reflects the true self, silently allowing us to face the truth within us and discover what truly motivates us. We observe our emotional reactions, fears, aspirations, and doubts. Solitude allows us to see ourselves without external judgments, without masks or pretensions. Self-awareness, just like self-sufficiency, the Stoics view deep self-knowledge as essential to achieving the inner independence that frees us from the need for external approval. By understanding who we really are, we can stop seeking validation from others and begin to find it within ourselves. This self-sufficiency brings us lasting peace because we are not affected by the constantly changing opinions of the external world. Practicing internal dialogue, a powerful aspect of self-awareness, is internal dialogue. Imagine yourself sitting alone, like an intellectual and compassionate friend, reflecting on your choices, desires, and mistakes. This sincere dialogue helps us better understand ourselves and allows us to make decisions more aligned with our true nature and values. 3. We'll delve into a theme that deeply resonated with the ancient Stoics: the development of autarky. Have you ever wondered how to achieve inner peace without depending on external circumstances? The answer may lie in Stoic solitude and independence. The power of self-sufficiency is a fundamental concept in Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed in the importance of cultivating an inner strength that was not affected by the vicissitudes of the external world. Solitude plays a significant role in this process because it allows us to disconnect from distractions and the noise of the world to focus on ourselves and reduce external impact. Independence can be seen as armor that shields us from external influences when we are constantly surrounded by others' opinions, expectations, and judgments. Our inner peace becomes a constant struggle. Solitude allows us to step away from this external influence and start trusting our wisdom and discernment. The opportunity for self-mastery. The Stoics believed that one of the greatest achievements of self-sufficiency was self-control. When we are alone, we need to deal with our own emotional reactions and impulses. We learn to observe them without automatically yielding to them. This self-control allows us to make conscious and ethical decisions instead of reacting automatically to situations. Learning to live with less. In a world obsessed with accumulation and consumption, self-sufficiency allows us to live with less. The Stoics valued simplicity and moderation. Solitude gives us the opportunity to appreciate the essentials and not depend on material possessions for our satisfaction. We learn to find wealth within ourselves instead of seeking it in the external world. 4. Facing emotions. Now we'll address a deeply interesting topic to us all: the management of emotions. From a Stoic perspective, how can we deal wisely and calmly with our emotion? Solitude can be a valuable ally in this process of understanding emotions. Emotions are like waves in the ocean, sometimes gentle and other times stormy. The Stoics understood that emotions were part of the human experience, but also recognized the importance of not being enslaved by them. Solitude provides a safe space to explore our emotions without external judgments or pressures. Dissociative observation. Imagine solitude as a laboratory for observing your emotions. When alone, we have the opportunity to objectively see our emotions rather than be carried away by them. We can observe them like clouds moving across the sky. This distance allows us to react more intelligently rather than impulsively. Stoic technique. The Stoics developed powerful techniques to deal with emotions on their own. One of them is anticipation, in which we imagine difficult situations and practice our calm and rational responses. Another technique is meditation on death, which helps us put our concerns into perspective and live in the present moment with gratitude. The Stoics believed that we could transform our emotions into virtues. For example, fear could transform into courage, anger into self-discipline, and sadness into resilience. Solitude provides space to reflect on our emotions, understand their origins, and channel their energy into virtuous actions, clarity and decision-making. Now, let's discuss a highly relevant topic, clarity and decision-making from a Stoic perspective. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the decisions you need to make? Can solitude be a reliable guide in this process? The decisive battle at life's crossroads. Decisions surround us like stars in the night sky. Often, confusion caused by external opinions can make it difficult to make the right decision. Solitude offers a space of silence and reflection to calmly and clearly consider our options. The refuge of solitude. Imagine solitude as a refuge amidst a storm. In difficult times, we can step away from external voices and expectations to find inner comfort. Solitude offers a safe space for managing our emotions, reflecting on the situation, and finding the strength to face challenges with courage. 6. Stoic view of adversity. The Stoics saw adversity as an opportunity to strengthen the soul in solitude. We can adopt a historical perspective and ask ourselves, what can I learn from this situation? How can I grow despite this challenge? Solitude allows us to transform adversity into an opportunity to cultivate virtues such as patience, self-discipline, and resilience. Mental training in solitude. Just as an athlete trains to gain physical strength, in solitude, we can train our minds to face challenges calmly, imagining possible obstacles and how they would respond with resilience and independence. This spiritual practice allows us to proactively face challenges. 7. Appreciation of simple things. We will now delve into a topic that connects us to joy and contentment. The appreciation of simple things. Have you ever felt that constantly seeking more hinders your happiness? Solitude can help you find happiness in simplicity. Desire for simplicity. In a society dominated by consumerism and the constant pursuit of novelties, the Stoics remind us of the beauty of simplicity. Solitude offers us space to detach from the noise and observe the joys that we often overlook. It invites us to enjoy everyday moments and find satisfaction in what we already have. Relationship between satisfaction and solitude. The Stoics considered joy as an essential virtue to find inner peace. Solitude helps us cultivate this virtue by allowing us to explore our relationship with the constant desire for more in solitude. We question if our desires are genuine or if we are simply trapped in the relentless pursuit of more. Gratitude is a pillar of Stoic philosophy. In solitude, we can practice gratitude by reflecting on the blessings we've had in life, appreciating health, relationships, comfort, and the beauty around us. This helps us find happiness in the present instead of constantly seeking it in the future. 8. Fostering internal dialogue. Now we address a topic that invites us to delve deeply into our minds. Fostering internal dialogue, as it involves honest conversations with oneself. Solitude can be a space for self-discovery through dialogue. Speaking to oneself is like having a wise and compassionate friend in your mind. In solitude, we engage in conversations with ourselves, discovering our thoughts, desires, and values. Solitude offers a safe space where we can speak without judgment, reflecting on our lives tranquilly. Space for deep contemplation. Imagine solitude as a reflective studio where you discover the deepest questions of your existence. When alone, we can take time to reflect on our decisions, goals, direction. Internal dialogue allows us to ask questions, challenge our beliefs, and explore new perspectives. The power of deep questions. The Stoics believed in the power of reflective questions for self-discovery. In solitude, we can ask ourselves questions that awaken our inner wisdom. Questions such as, what is truly important to me? What qualities do I wish to cultivate? And how can I live in harmony with nature? These questions guide us into a deep dialogue with ourselves, turning internal dialogue into action. Internal dialogue isn't just about thought, but also action. In solitude, we can plan how to apply our reflections to our daily lives. Internal dialogue helps us put wisdom into action, setting goals and making decisions aligned with our deepest values. 9. Connection with nature and the universe. Now we address a topic that connects us to the vastness of the universe. The connection with nature and the universe from a historical perspective. Have you ever marveled at the immensity of the world around you? Solitude can be your guide to discovering this profound connection, the universe as the master. The Stoics viewed the universe as a great teacher that contained lessons about the nature of life and virtue. In solitude, we can look at the stars in the sky and feel that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. This connection with the universe invites us to reflect on our existence and our role in the cosmic order, reflection in nature. Imagine solitude as a bridge between your mind and nature. When alone, we can wander through the forest, contemplate the sea, or simply enjoy the sunset. Solitude offers us the opportunity to enjoy the natural beauty and reflect on how nature reflects Stoic virtues like harmony and resilience. The Stoics believed in the relative insignificance of human affairs in relation to the cosmic order. In solitude, we can reflect on how our individual interests and desires fade in the vast universe. This perspective helps us give less importance to trivialities and focus on what truly matters. 10. Cultivating virtue and wisdom. Finding harmony with nature was essential for the Stoics to find inner peace in solitude. We can discover how our actions and decisions fit into the cosmic order. We reflect on how our choices affect others and the environment around us. Cultivating virtue, inner tranquility. Now, we arrive at a topic that encapsulates the core of Stoicism, the cultivation of virtue and inner peace. Have you ever desired to live wisely and peacefully amidst trials? Solitude can be your guide on this noble path. Virtue is the ultimate goal. For the Stoics, virtue was the aspiration. Imagine virtue as a guiding beacon for your actions and decisions in life. In solitude, you can reflect on how to live virtuously in different circumstances, finding inner peace. Inner tranquility is one of the most precious pillars of Stoicism. Amidst chaos, solitude helps you find a peaceful haven. You can meditate on maintaining serenity in difficult situations and utilize solitude as an oasis to emotionally recharge. The Stoics understood that self-discipline was essential to cultivate virtue and equanimity. Solitude provides the space for you to practice self-discipline in small ways, like resisting distractions and focusing on what truly matters. This practice strengthens you to face the temptations and challenges of daily life. Solitude is fertile ground for reflection and self-transcendence. You can examine your past actions, identify areas where you can grow, and set goals to become a more ethical and balanced person. Solitude offers the space to nurture a continuous commitment to your personal growth. As we navigate modern life, we can apply these Stoic teachings, finding moments of solitude to cultivate self-sufficiency, face our emotions serenely, make informed decisions, and above all, seek virtue and inner tranquility. Remember that you have the power to create moments of solitude in your life, whether through meditation, contemplation in nature, reflective reading, or self-dialogue. By doing so, you follow in the footsteps of the ancient Stoics and tread a path of self-discovery and spiritual growth. Tackle the hard things first. This approach suggests that by facing the most challenging tasks at the beginning of your day or your project, you not only get rid of them more quickly, but also experience a significant boost in motivation and confidence to face whatever comes next. When we apply this philosophy to focusing on ourselves, we start to notice a substantial change in the way we approach our dreams and goals. By prioritizing and completing the toughest tasks first, we minimize procrastination and maximize our productivity and efficiency. This process not only improves our time management skills, but also teaches us about the importance of discipline and commitment to our own growth. By tackling challenges head-on, we also develop resilience and adaptability, two essential qualities for anyone seeking personal and professional success. Every difficult task overcome is proof of our ability to deal with adversity, which prepares us to face future obstacles with more confidence and determination. Therefore, tackling the hard things first is not just a strategy for enhancing productivity. It's a life philosophy that encourages us to confront our fears and limitations, putting us on the path to self-development and the achievement of our most audacious dreams. This is a crucial step in the process of focusing on oneself, promoting not only advancement towards your goals, but also profound personal growth. Learn to be comfortable alone. This skill not only strengthens emotional independence, but also provides a valuable opportunity for self-exploration and deep reflection, fundamental elements for progress and the realization of dreams and goals. Being comfortable in one's own company means embracing solitude as a state of completeness, not isolation. During these quiet moments, you can connect with your deepest thoughts, desires, fears, and hopes, gaining clarity on what truly matters to you. This clarity is the first step towards setting goals aligned with your true values and aspirations. Furthermore, the ability to enjoy your own company helps to develop self-sufficiency. When you feel complete alone, your happiness ceases to depend on external factors or the validation of others. This sense of self-sufficiency is liberating and puts you in control of your life, making you more resistant to negative influences and more focused on your own goals. Productive solitude also provides fertile ground for creativity and innovation. Without the distractions of the external environment and the pressure of social expectations, the mind can wander freely, exploring ideas and devising creative solutions to present and future challenges. This creativity is essential for problem-solving and advancing towards your goals. Celebrate your achievements. The act of recognizing and celebrating every victory, no matter how small, serves as a constant reminder of your potential and capabilities, encouraging you to continue on the path of personal fulfillment. Firstly, celebrating your achievements helps to build a positive mindset, fueling your spirit with the energy and motivation needed to tackle new challenges. This positive attitude towards successes fosters resilience, making you more prepared to deal with the inevitable difficulties and failures along the way. It's the celebration that makes the journey rewarding, not just the arrival at the final destination. Moreover, acknowledging your own achievements fosters self-esteem and self-confidence. By celebrating your progress, you reaffirm your worth and ability to overcome obstacles and reach goals. This creates a virtuous cycle of growth where each achievement leads to greater confidence, which in turn leads to more achievements. Celebrating isn't just about recognizing major victories, but also valuing the small daily progress. It can be something as simple as completing a task you've been postponing, learning something new, or even overcoming a negative habit. Every step towards your goal deserves recognition. Seek challenges. Facing challenges that might initially seem intimidating forces you to explore unknown territories, both external and internal, allowing you to discover new skills and passions. This expansion isn't just about acquiring new knowledge or skills, but also about redefining what you believe you're capable of achieving, raising your self-esteem and self-confidence. Furthermore, by challenging yourself, you stimulate your resilience and adaptability. Challenges often come with failures and setbacks, which are valuable opportunities for learning. By learning to navigate these situations, you develop a stronger and more flexible mindset, becoming better prepared to deal with future adversities. This resilience is crucial for long-term achievement, as it teaches that the path to reaching your dreams is often paved with obstacles that can be overcome with perseverance and a positive attitude. Seeking challenges also promotes a sense of accomplishment and purpose. Each challenge overcome is tangible proof of your progress and dedication. This not only reinforces your belief in your own capabilities, but also gives a deeper meaning to your personal development journey. You begin to view each challenge not as a barrier, but as a step on the path to achieving your dreams and goals. Protect your time. By protecting your time, you establish clear boundaries between what is a priority and what is secondary, ensuring that your actions are aligned with your long-term goals. This might mean saying no to unnecessary social commitments, limiting the time spent on social media, or identifying and eliminating tasks that don't add value to your personal journey. One of the keys to protecting your time is planning and organization, setting clear goals, both short-term and long-term, and creating a detailed action plan helps to maintain focus and direction. By dedicating specific times for activities that promote your development, such as continuous learning, physical exercises, or mindfulness practices, you ensure you're building a routine that reflects your values and aspirations. Another important aspect of protecting your time is learning to prioritize tasks based on their importance and impact. This involves constantly evaluating your daily activities and making adjustments as necessary to ensure you're spending your time effectively. Additionally, protecting your time also means setting aside moments for rest and recovery. Self-care is crucial to maintaining the energy and motivation needed to pursue your goals. This can include practices like meditation, reading, hobbies, or simply quality time with friends and family. Recognizing the importance of a work-life balance is essential for a full and satisfying life. Conduct periodic assessments of your goals and progress. By conducting these regular assessments, you have the opportunity to reconnect with your long-term goals, revisit your motivations, and remind yourself of the why behind your aspirations. This clarity is vital for maintaining motivation and commitment, especially when facing obstacles or detours along the way. Start by setting regular intervals for your evaluations, depending on the nature of your goals. During these sessions, ask yourself about the goals you have set for yourself during such a period. What steps are you completing towards your goals? What worked and what could be improved? And are there new opportunities to be explored that you had not noticed at the beginning? Documenting your thoughts and progress is crucial. Try to record your reflections and track your development over time. Visualizing your progress can be extremely rewarding and motivating, providing a tangible sense of achievement. Finally, be open to adjusting your goals and plans based on what you learned during your assessments. Flexibility is a valuable quality, allowing you to adapt to unexpected changes and make the most of new opportunities. Remembering that the process is as important as the final destination helps maintain a balanced perspective and appreciate every step of your self-development journey. Explore new hobbies and interests. By dedicating time to discover and engage in new and stimulating activities, you not only enrich your life with diverse experiences, but also open doors to new possibilities and opportunities. Each hobby or interest you adopt serves as a window into new worlds, connecting you with different aspects of yourself and expanding your understanding of what you are capable of achieving. These activities not only bring immediate joy and satisfaction, but also challenge your mind, promote creativity, and improve emotional resilience. As you become more skilled and confident in new areas, your self-esteem rises, reinforcing belief in your own capabilities. Furthermore, by exploring new hobbies and interests, you have the chance to meet people with perspectives and life experiences different from your own, further enriching your journey of self-discovery. These new connections can inspire ideas, motivate challenges, and even open pathways to future careers or ventures. Develop communication skills. By investing in the development of communication skills, you equip yourself with the necessary tools to clearly express your ideas, desires, and boundaries. This includes the ability to actively listen, which allows for a better understanding of others' perspectives and creates more meaningful connections. Additionally, being able to articulate your thoughts in an assertive and respectful manner promotes an environment of open dialogue and mutual trust, essential in both personal and professional relationships. Mastering communication also involves learning to negotiate and resolve conflicts constructively. This means being able to reach compromises that respect the needs of all parties involved, a vital skill for success in any aspect of life. Moreover, effective communication opens doors to opportunities, whether in career, relationships, or social situations, as it conveys competence, empathy, and leadership. On the path to achieving your dreams and goals, clear and effective communication also facilitates the establishment of support networks, whether seeking mentorship, collaborating on projects, or simply sharing your aspirations. The ability to express yourself well attracts allies and facilitates the journey towards success. Choose your influences wisely. Influences can come from a variety of sources such as social media, colleagues, friends, family, thought leaders, and even pop culture. Some of these influences can be inspiring and motivating, encouraging us to pursue our passions, develop new skills, and maintain a positive mindset. Others, however, can sow doubts, negativity, or push us in directions that are not aligned with our values and goals. Focusing on oneself involves a critical analysis of these influences and the conscious decision to surround yourself with those that promote growth, learning, and well-being. This means prioritizing relationships and content that reinforce your self-esteem, expand your understanding of the world, and support your life goals. It also means limiting or eliminating exposure to toxic or demotivating sources, which can include reducing time spent on social media that doesn't add value, or distancing yourself from friendships and environments that do not support your vision for the future. Moreover, choosing your influences wisely requires building a support network of mentors, peers, and friends who share similar interests and who can offer advice, feedback, and encouragement. These mutually beneficial relationships are fundamental for maintaining focus, overcoming challenges, and achieving success. Ultimately, by consciously choosing the influences in your life, you give yourself the power to actively shape your journey and environment, ensuring they are aligned with who you want to be and where you want to go. This choice not only helps you maintain focus on your own development, but also enables you to live more intentionally and authentically, leading to a fulfilling and accomplished life. Live aligned with your values. Living aligned with your values is a cornerstone for anyone wanting to focus on themselves and witness progress in achieving their dreams and goals. Your core values act as an internal compass, guiding your decisions, behaviors, and interactions with the world around you. They reflect what you consider most important in life, whether it's honesty, courage, compassion, creativity, or freedom. When your daily actions and choices are in harmony with these values, you experience a sense of purpose, satisfaction, and authenticity. Living according to your values means making conscious choices that not only resonate with what you believe to be right and true, but also rejecting situations that conflict with those principles. This might involve saying no to opportunities that seem lucrative or convenient on the surface, but do not align with your authentic self or what you wish to achieve in life. This value alignment requires self-knowledge and continuous introspection. It requires dedicating time to reflect on who you are, what motivates you, and what you hope to achieve. This process can be facilitated through journal writing, meditation, or deep conversations with trusted friends or mentors. As you become more aware of your core values, it becomes easier to make decisions that reflect those values, establishing a life that is truly your own. Living according to your values also positively influences those around you. By modeling integrity, passion, and resilience, you inspire others to consider their own priorities and values. This creates a ripple of positive influence that can improve relationships, communities, and even society as a whole. Furthermore, when you face challenges or setbacks, your values provide a solid foundation to lean on. They help keep the focus on what is essential, guiding you back on the path toward your goals, even when circumstances are tough. In summary, living aligned with your values is not just a crucial aspect of personal development, but also a powerful source of motivation, satisfaction, and impact. By prioritizing what truly matters to you, you set the stage for a life of significant progress and authentic fulfillment. Effectively manage stress. To do this, it's essential to first recognize the signs and triggers that generate stress in you. This can vary from person to person, including physical symptoms such as muscle tension and headaches, or emotional symptoms such as anxiety and irritability. Understanding what triggers your stress is the first step towards developing personalized strategies to cope with it. Once the triggers are identified, you can implement stress management techniques that work for you. This can include mindfulness and meditation practices, which help center the mind and bring a sense of calm. Regular physical exercise is also a powerful tool, as it releases endorphins, improving your mood and reducing tension. Additionally, ensuring adequate sleep and maintaining a balanced diet are crucial for keeping your body and mind in optimal conditions to face challenges. Besides, personal strategies, knowing when and how to seek support is vital. This might mean talking to friends and family, seeking professional counseling, or joining support groups. Sharing your concerns and stresses can not only provide emotional relief, but also offer new perspectives and solutions. By managing stress effectively, you free up space in your life to focus on what is truly important: your dreams, goals, and personal growth. This not only improves your day-to-day quality of life, but also enhances your resilience, allowing you to navigate future challenges with greater ease and confidence. Therefore, investing in stress management is investing in yourself and your future. Make others better. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean ignoring others around you. In fact, a fundamental part of personal growth is the ability to positively influence those we interact with. Making others better is a powerful way to foster a positive and mutually supportive environment, which, in turn, facilitates personal progress and the achievement of goals. When you dedicate yourself to improving, whether in personal, emotional, or professional skills, you naturally inspire others to do the same. Sharing knowledge, offering constructive feedback, encouraging, and celebrating the achievements of others are ways to contribute to everyone's development. This approach not only enriches the environment around you, but also reinforces your own growth journey, creating a network of support and motivation. Furthermore, helping others improve can provide a new perspective on your own challenges and goals. By teaching, you reinforce your own knowledge and skills. By offering support, you develop empathy and interpersonal skills. By inspiring, you stay motivated. This exchange of value not only accelerates your personal progress, but also creates stronger and more meaningful bonds with those around you. Therefore, by focusing on making others better, you cultivate an environment of continuous growth, where everyone is encouraged to develop and reach their maximum potential. This creates a culture of positivity, support, and excellence, where each contributes to the success and well-being of others. Ultimately, by investing in the development of others, you invest in yourself, witnessing how your life progresses in a more enriching and satisfying way, leading to the achievement of dreams and goals, not just for yourself, but also for those around you. Valuing yourself means understanding that you are the most important masterpiece of your life. It's not selfishness, it's the root of self-love. In a world that often presents relentless competition for success, recognition, and self-affirmation, many of us fall into the trap of forgetting our own worth. We forget that before we can shine under the world's spotlight, we need to ignite the light within ourselves. But how do we recognize when we start to dim our own light? How do we know if we're neglecting our intrinsic value in favor of an incessant search for external approval? This content is not just a simple video, but rather a mirror meant to reflect the subtle signs that indicate when we are not valuing ourselves as we should. From the small gestures of self-denial to the major concessions that compromise our well-being, each sign is a call to reassess our self-esteem and our relationship with ourselves. Each sign is not just an alert, but also an invitation to start a process of self-acceptance. When someone accepts less than they deserve, whether in treatment, opportunities, or relationships, they are exhibiting one of the clearest signs that they are not properly valuing themselves. This behavior is often the result of low self-esteem or an internal belief that they are not worthy of something better. These people might find it difficult to recognize their own value, leading them to tolerate situations that do not reflect their true capabilities or desires. This willingness to settle for less can manifest in various ways, such as staying in a job that does not offer growth or satisfaction, maintaining personal relationships that are one-sided or even harmful, or not seeking new opportunities that better align with their interests and passions. The tendency to minimize one's own needs and desires in favor of satisfying others or avoiding conflicts is a telling sign that a person is not putting themselves first. The challenge for those in this situation is to start recognizing their own value and believe that they deserve more. This may require significant internal work to build self-esteem and self-confidence, as well as establishing healthy boundaries that protect their rights and well-being. Learning to say no to situations that do not serve their best interest, and yes to opportunities that promote their growth and happiness is a crucial step in the process of personal valuation. Minimizing your own achievements. This tendency reflects an inability to recognize and celebrate one's own success, often attributing any success to luck, chance, or the efforts of others, rather than acknowledging one's own contribution, talent, or hard work. This behavior can be a sign of low self-esteem or imposter syndrome, where the person feels they are not truly deserving of their successes. When someone consistently minimizes their achievements, it not only diminishes their sense of self-efficacy, but can also negatively impact the motivation to pursue new goals or challenges. This self-devaluation creates a vicious cycle where the person feels increasingly less capable and less inclined to take initiatives or put themselves in situations that could lead to recognition or personal advancement. The first step to breaking this cycle is the active acknowledgement of one's own achievements. Big or small, and attributing those successes to one's own efforts and abilities. This may involve practicing positive self-affirmations, setting achievable goals that allow for regular small victories, and seeking constructive feedback that reinforces individual value and contribution. Cultivating a supportive environment, both professionally and personally, where recognition and celebration of achievements are common practices, can also help. By surrounding oneself with people who recognize and value their skills and efforts, it becomes easier to start internalizing those positive perceptions about oneself and gradually increase self-esteem and self-worth. Prioritizing the needs of others. This behavior often stems from a combination of low self-esteem, a desire for approval, and fear of rejection. People who do not value themselves may believe that by incessantly meeting the needs of others, they will become indispensable, loved, or respected. However, this approach often leads to emotional exhaustion and the neglect of one's own needs, interests, and health. Sacrificing personal well-being and happiness for the sake of others may seem noble at first glance, but it is unsustainable in the long run. This behavior not only compromises mental and physical health, but can also lead to resentment, as expectations are rarely met equally. Moreover, this dynamic can attract one-sided relationships, where balance and mutual respect are absent. Recognizing one's own value involves understanding that your needs, desires, and well-being are as important as those of others. This does not mean neglecting relationships or becoming selfish, but rather seeking a healthy balance where there is room both to give and to receive. Learning to set healthy boundaries is crucial in this process. This can include saying no when necessary, dedicating time for self-care, and openly communicating your needs and expectations in relationships. For people struggling to value themselves, starting self-care practices, seeking counseling, and cultivating a support circle that respects their boundaries can be extremely beneficial. Recognizing and affirming your value is not an act of selfishness, but a fundamental necessity for a balanced and happy life. By beginning to value yourself, it is possible to develop more equitable and satisfying relationships, where respect and mutual care are the foundation. Resistance to accepting compliments. This reaction can manifest in various ways, from visible discomfort to expressing doubts about the sincerity of the compliments received. Individuals with low self-esteem or who do not recognize their own value tend to reject compliments, deflect them, or even respond with self-deprecating comments, unable to accept that they may be deserving of such recognition. This difficulty in accepting compliments often stems from negative and persistent internal beliefs about oneself, where the person believes they are not good enough, competent, or worthy of appreciation. Instead of viewing the compliment as a valid recognition of their qualities or achievements, they may suspect ulterior motives or simply consider it undeserved. This behavior not only undermines confidence and self-esteem, but can also negatively affect how others perceive and interact with the person. To overcome this resistance, it is essential to work on building a more positive and realistic self-image. This can include practicing gratitude for the compliments received, recognizing them as genuine reflections of personal qualities and efforts. It is also important to challenge and reframe automatic negative thoughts that arise in response to compliments, replacing them with more balanced and fair affirmations about oneself. Practicing the acceptance of compliments with simple thank you responses can be a good starting point. Over time, by accepting compliments more graciously, the person can begin to internalize a more positive view of themselves, strengthening their self-esteem and allowing them to see their true value through the eyes of others. This process of recognizing one's own value is essential for the development of a healthy self-image and for the formation of more positive and authentic interpersonal relationships. Avoiding decision-making. This pattern of behavior is often motivated by the fear of making mistakes, reflecting a deep lack of confidence in one's own judgment and decision-making abilities. Individuals facing this difficulty tend to feel paralyzed in front of choices, even those that seem relatively simple or inconsequential to others. This fear of making wrong decisions can be fueled by past experiences of criticism or failures that were internalized as evidence of their inadequacy. As a result, these people may constantly seek the approval or guidance of others, placing others' judgment above their own. This external dependency for decision-making not only weakens self-confidence, but also prevents the development of a sense of autonomy and self-efficacy. Avoiding decision-making can have far-reaching consequences, limiting personal and professional opportunities and reinforcing a cycle of doubt and insecurity. Moreover, this chronic hesitation can lead to feelings of frustration and stagnation, as the person finds themselves unable to move forward toward their goals or make significant changes in their life. To overcome this challenge, it is crucial for individuals to learn to trust themselves and their abilities more. This may involve practicing decision-making in low-risk situations to gradually build confidence, reflecting on past decisions to recognize successes, even if small, and learning from mistakes without excessively criticizing oneself. Techniques for boosting self-esteem and therapies focused on changing negative thought patterns can also be beneficial. By encouraging autonomous decision-making and accepting imperfection as part of the learning process, people can begin to view choices not as sources of fear, but as opportunities to grow and affirm their own value. Cultivating an attitude of self-compassion and recognizing that making mistakes is human are vital steps toward developing greater confidence in one's abilities and ultimately valuing oneself more fully. Excessive self-criticism. This tendency manifests as an unrelentingly harsh inner voice that disproportionately focuses on mistakes, perceived failures, or shortcomings, often overlooking successes and positive qualities. People trapped in this cycle of self-criticism not only punish themselves for real or imagined failures, but also deprive themselves of the compassion and understanding they would readily offer to others in similar situations. This practice of relentless self-criticism can have deep roots, often linked to previous life experiences, such as constant criticism during childhood or unrealistic expectations imposed by authority figures. Over time, these external critical voices can become internalized, transforming into an internal critic that incessantly questions the person's adequacy and worth. The impact of excessive self-criticism extends beyond momentary feelings of inadequacy. It can significantly undermine self-esteem, contribute to the development of anxiety or depression disorders, and prevent the individual from pursuing goals or engaging in activities that could be sources of joy and satisfaction. To combat excessive self-criticism, it's crucial to learn to treat oneself with the same compassion and understanding one would offer to a good friend. This involves recognizing that mistakes and failures are inevitable parts of the human experience and do not reflect a person's intrinsic value. Mindfulness techniques and cognitive behavioral therapies can be particularly helpful for identifying and challenging self-critical thoughts, replacing them with a more gentle and realistic internal narrative. Constant comparison with others. This tendency to measure one's own worth based on the successes, appearances, and lives of other people is a common trap, especially in the age of social media, where only the brightest aspects of someone's life are often presented. Individuals who fall into the cycle of constant comparison tend to focus on the areas where they feel they do not measure up, ignoring their own unique qualities, talents, and achievements. This behavior not only distorts self-image, but also diverts attention from one's own journey and personal growth. Comparison can lead to feelings of inadequacy, envy, and discontent, harming the ability to appreciate and celebrate one's own successes. Moreover, this practice overlooks the fact that each person faces their own challenges and struggles, many of which are not visible externally. To break the cycle of comparison, it is essential to recognize and value one's individuality. This can be achieved through mindfulness practices, which help maintain focus on the present and gratitude for one's experiences and achievements. It's also important to remember that each person is on a unique journey, and someone else's successes do not diminish your own. A useful strategy is to take time to reflect on one's strengths and successes, no matter how small, celebrating them as evidence of one's value. Additionally, limiting exposure to social media and focusing on activities and relationships that reinforce self-esteem can help reduce the tendency to compare. By cultivating an appreciation for one's unique qualities and life trajectory, it is possible to build a more solid foundation of self-valuation and emotional resilience. This not only improves personal well-being, but also allows the person to relate in a healthier and more authentic way with others, free from the weight of constant comparisons. Lack of personal investment. This phenomenon occurs when a person hesitates or refuses to dedicate time, resources, or energy to their own development and well-being. It can manifest in various forms, including neglect of personal interests, hobbies, education, or opportunities for professional and personal growth. This behavior not only prevents the individual from reaching their full potential, but can also contribute to a decrease in self-esteem and life satisfaction. Investing in oneself is a fundamental act of self-love and respect. It means recognizing one's value and worthiness of happiness and fulfillment. For people who do not value themselves, it might seem imprudent or even selfish to spend time and resources on activities that promote personal growth. However, personal development is essential for mental health, personal fulfillment, and the ability to positively contribute to society. The lack of personal investment can be overcome by recognizing that every person is worthy of effort and attention. Starting with small steps such as dedicating time each day to a beloved hobby or setting goals for acquiring new skills or knowledge can be a transformative path. Education, whether formal or through self-taught resources, is a powerful form of personal investment that can open new doors and perspectives. Moreover, exploring new activities or revisiting old interests can reignite a passion for life and boost self-esteem. This demonstrates to oneself that one's passions and interests are valid and worth pursuing. Investing in healthy relationships and a supportive community can also be a valuable part of personal development, offering encouragement and positive feedback. Recognizing the importance of personal investment is a crucial step in learning to value oneself. By committing to one's growth and well-being, people can begin to see themselves in a more positive and deserving light, paving the way for a more fulfilling and satisfying life. Seeking external validation. This behavior manifests when someone heavily relies on approval, recognition, or the opinion of others to feel valued, successful, or socially acceptable. While it is natural to desire approval and recognition, excessive dependence on these external factors to define one's worth can lead to a cycle of self-assessment based on volatile and often unattainable criteria. Individuals who seek external validation often adjust their actions, opinions, and even their identity to align with what they believe to be more acceptable or admirable in the eyes of others. This behavior not only compromises authenticity and individuality, but can also result in a decrease in self-esteem and emotional well-being, as external approval is, by nature, variable and out of the individual's control. The path to overcoming the search for external validation involves building a sense of self-worth that is internal and self-sustained. This can be achieved through the development of self-awareness, understanding one's values, qualities, and achievements, regardless of external acknowledgement. Cultivating self-acceptance and acknowledging one's own achievements, efforts, and progress are essential steps to lessen the need for external validation. Practices such as personal reflection, meditation, and setting personal goals can help strengthen the sense of purpose and intrinsic satisfaction. Moreover, surrounding oneself with people who appreciate and accept you for who you are without the need to prove your worth can reinforce the importance of internal over external validation. Learning to value oneself regardless of others' opinions is an ongoing process that requires patience, persistence, and often the re-evaluation of deeply rooted beliefs about success and personal worth. By committing to this process, individuals can develop a solid foundation of self-esteem and confidence that is not shaken by the fluctuations of external approval, leading to a more authentic and satisfying life. Tolerance of negative environments. This pattern of behavior manifests when someone remains in work or social situations that are harmful, disrespectful, or demotivating, often justified by the belief that better alternatives are out of reach or unattainable for them. This phenomenon can be attributed to low self-esteem or a negative self-perception, where the individual feels they must settle for less due to a lack of worthiness. This mindset not only hinders personal and professional growth, but can also lead to a cycle of discontent and resignation, reinforcing the belief that the current situation is the best they can expect from life. One way to overcome this tolerance of negative environments is through strengthening self-esteem and developing a more positive and proactive mindset towards one's capabilities and worth. This can involve seeking constructive feedback, setting realistic personal and professional growth goals, and, above all, allowing oneself to believe that they deserve respect, opportunities, and an environment that contributes to their well-being and development. Moreover, it is crucial to learn to recognize and establish healthy boundaries, understanding that saying no to harmful situations is a right and a form of self-respect. Seeking environments that reflect and reinforce one's value is not only everyone's right, but also an essential step towards building a more fulfilling and rewarding life. Exploring new opportunities, even if it involves risks, can be an act of self-affirmation and a declaration that one values themselves enough not to settle for less than they deserve. Encouraging oneself to take these steps towards positive changes can be challenging, but it is a worthwhile journey toward recognizing one's worth and creating a reality more aligned with one's desires and needs. Fear of pursuing dreams. This feeling often arises from deep insecurity and doubt about one's capabilities and worthiness. Often, these individuals have goals and dreams they ardently wish to achieve, but are paralyzed by the fear of failure or the belief that they are unworthy of success. This hesitation to chase after one's dreams can lead to a life full of regrets and what-ifs, where the individual finds themselves stuck in a state of inaction, unable to move forward towards what they truly desire. This self-imposed barrier not only prevents personal and professional fulfillment, but also contributes to a decrease in self-esteem and self-worth, creating a vicious cycle of doubt and hesitation. Combating this fear requires conscious work to recognize and challenge limiting beliefs about oneself. This can involve identifying the origins of these beliefs, whether through past experiences, negative messages received from others, or unfair comparisons with others' successes. From there, it's possible to begin restructuring these thoughts, focusing on one's strengths, talents, and the ability to learn and grow. A crucial step in this process is to start small, setting achievable goals that can be gradually expanded as confidence and self-esteem are rebuilt. Celebrating every victory, no matter how minor, can reinforce the perception of competence and self-worth. Furthermore, Seeking support from friends, family, or professionals can provide the motivation and perspective needed to overcome fears and uncertainties. Engaging in communities or groups that share similar interests can also inspire and encourage the pursuit of one's dreams. Failure to recognize one's own worth. This inability to see and affirm one's intrinsic value suggests an internal struggle with self-image and self-esteem, where the individual relies excessively on external achievements or others' approval to feel valuable. This issue goes beyond modesty or humility. It's about not believing in one's importance and value as a human being, regardless of any achievements or recognition. This problem is particularly insidious because it can lead to a cycle of constant seeking for external validation, never satisfying the deep need for self-acceptance. When a person's self-esteem is anchored in external factors, it becomes volatile and easily shaken by failures or criticism. This state of constant uncertainty about one's worth can prevent the individual from taking risks, seeking opportunities, or even standing up for themselves in harmful situations for fear of losing others' approval. Building a sense of self-worth that is independent of achievements or others' judgment requires deep internal work and, often, the help of therapy or counseling. It begins with identifying and dismantling limiting beliefs about oneself, often rooted since childhood through messages received from caregivers, peers, or society. It involves learning to appreciate oneself for who you are, recognizing your qualities, talents, and equally important, your imperfections as valuable parts of your being. Practicing gratitude for oneself, celebrating small successes, and acknowledging efforts, even when they don't result in success, can help strengthen self-esteem. Likewise, engaging in activities and interests that feed the soul and sense of purpose can reinforce the feeling of self-worth. Feeling unworthy of happiness. This belief that one does not deserve to be happy or achieve success creates an internal barrier that can affect all areas of life, from professional achievements to personal relationships. Individuals carrying this feeling often find themselves in a cycle of self-sabotage where they unconsciously undermine their own opportunities for success or happiness because they believe, deep down, that they are not worthy of these positive outcomes. This thought pattern not only prevents the individual from actively pursuing their goals and desires, but can also lead them to engage in behaviors that reinforce this belief of unworthiness. For example, someone who feels unworthy of love might choose partners who are emotionally unavailable or abusive, thus confirming their underlying belief that they don't deserve to be loved in a healthy and respectful manner. The origin of this feeling of unworthiness often lies in past experiences of rejection, failure, or negative messages received from authority figures or society at large. Overcoming this self-perception requires conscious internal work and often the support of mental health professionals, such as psychologists or therapists. It's a process of recognizing and challenging these limiting beliefs, learning to see oneself in a more positive and compassionate way. Part of this process involves practicing self-compassion, allowing oneself to feel and accept happiness without guilt or fear. This includes acknowledging that everyone is worthy of happiness and success, regardless of their past mistakes or imperfections. Shifting focus to one's own qualities, efforts, and progress, rather than solely on failures or in comparison with others, is also crucial. Moreover, setting realistic goals and celebrating small victories can help build a sense of self-efficacy and worthiness. As the person begins to experience successes, even small ones, they can start to challenge the belief that they are not worthy of happiness or success. Ultimately, feeling worthy of happiness is an inherent right of all human beings. Working to overcome self-sabotage and the belief in one's unworthiness can open pathways to a fuller and more satisfying life. where opportunities for happiness and success are embraced with confidence and gratitude. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Every day, your mind is like a radio tuned to multiple stations. Imagine that your brain generates thousands of thoughts daily, and a large part of these thoughts are silent invaders that, without us realizing, determine how we feel and act in the world around us. Unfortunately, for most people, a large portion tends to be negative thoughts. You have probably found yourself in spirals of doubt, insecurity, and fear, just within your own mind, without it being something from the real world. You are not what you think. Often, we identify so strongly with our thoughts that we begin to believe they represent our true essence. However, it's crucial to recognize that our thoughts are just products of our mind and do not define who we are. Stoicism, a school of philosophy that values virtue, wisdom, and self-control, teaches that we should not be carried away by irrational or impulsive thoughts. It's possible to lead a full and meaningful life by learning to control our perceptions and reactions to external events, as it is not the events themselves that disturb us, but rather the interpretations we make of these events. To apply this concept in eliminating negative thoughts, start by practicing the distinction between your thoughts and your reality. Remember that just because you think something, it does not mean it's true or should influence your behavior. Questioning the validity of your negative thoughts is an essential step. Ask yourself if there are real evidences that support these beliefs, or if they are just unfounded assumptions. Moreover, practice emotional detachment from your thoughts. This does not mean suppressing or ignoring your feelings, but rather observing your thoughts as if they were clouds passing through the sky of your mind. This observational approach allows you to evaluate your thoughts from a more objective and less emotional standpoint. Finally, use Stoic wisdom to reinforce that you have the power to choose how to respond to your thoughts. Instead of being a victim of negative thought patterns, take control of your reactions and choose more rational and constructive responses. This may involve replacing negative thoughts with positive affirmations, focusing on what is within your change, and practicing gratitude for the good things in your life. Limiting exposure to negativity. The current media and informational environment is saturated with negative news, dramas, and tragedies that can significantly affect our emotional and mental state. Constant exposure to this information can lead to a cycle of negative thoughts, anxiety, and pessimism. To mitigate this effect, it's important to be selective about the content we consume. Opting for programs, news, and media that promote positive, inspiring, or light content can help maintain a more optimistic and balanced perspective. This doesn't mean completely ignoring world events, but finding a healthy balance that allows you to be informed without being overwhelmed by negativity. Moreover, reducing the time spent on social media can be beneficial, as these platforms often amplify negative news and conflicts. Instead, dedicating yourself to activities that uplift your spirit, such as hobbies, reading, music, or any form of art that brings joy and contentment, can be an excellent way to divert your mind from negative influences. Creating an environment that encourages positivity, whether through the selection of content you watch, the books you read, or the conversations you have, is crucial for developing a healthier and more positive mental state. By consciously limiting exposure to negativity and prioritizing activities and information that bring happiness and inspiration, you can create a stronger mental shield against the invasion of negative thoughts. Imagination versus reality. This is a fundamental technique for overcoming negative thoughts, emphasizing the distinction between the internal narratives we construct and what is factually true. Often, the mind weaves stories based on fears and assumptions that do not correspond with reality. When facing these moments, it's essential to practice awareness by questioning the validity of your thoughts and recognizing them as mere hypotheses, not absolute truths. Detaching from destructive thoughts is a crucial step. This involves understanding that thoughts are temporary and do not define your reality or identity. Techniques like mindfulness meditation can be extremely helpful here, allowing you to observe your thoughts non-judgmentally and let them go without clinging to them. Furthermore, focusing on real facts helps to undermine the basis of negative thoughts. Questioning the reality of your fears can reveal a lack of concrete evidence supporting them, allowing for a more positive and realistic reformulation of your concerns. Shifting focus to positive visualizations can be transformative. Instead of clinging to catastrophic scenarios, redirect your mind to imagine positive outcomes and situations. This not only relieves anxiety, but also paves the way for a more optimistic and proactive mindset. Finally, engaging in activities that promote presence in the current moment can help ward off unnecessary worries. Whether through physical exercises, hobbies, or time with loved ones, staying grounded in the present reduces the inclination to get lost in unfounded concerns about the future or regrets of the past. Implementing these strategies can transform how you perceive and react to your thoughts, moving from a cycle of negativity to a more balanced and positive state of being. Setting realistic goals. This approach helps to avoid the frustration that comes from unrealistic expectations and reinforces the sense of accomplishment and self-efficacy. Setting realistic and achievable goals allows you to have a clear path to success, avoiding disillusionment and discouragement that can arise from facing overly ambitious or vague objectives. When setting goals, it's crucial that they are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This not only provides a clear framework for what you want to achieve, but also makes tracking progress and celebrating small victories along the way easier. Each achieved goal acts as a positive boost to self-esteem and concrete proof of your capabilities. Start with small goals that can be easily achieved and gradually work towards more challenging objectives. This builds a sense of ongoing progress and success, which are powerful antidotes against negativity and self-doubt. It's also important to be flexible and kind to yourself when setting and pursuing these goals. Recognize that unforeseen events may occur and adjust your goals as needed, without punishing yourself or feeding negative thoughts for not meeting exactly what was initially set. Remember, the journey to achieving a goal is as important as the end result, and every step towards your goal is a victory in itself. The worry jar technique. This is a useful tool for eliminating negative thoughts by allowing you to externalize and analyze your worries in a tangible way. By writing down your worries, you take them out of your mind and place them in a physical environment, which can help reduce the sense of mental overload and see the worries under a new light. This technique involves writing down each of your worries and placing them in a specific location. It can be a physical place, like a jar or envelope, or even writing in some digital file. The important thing is that you note your worries outside your mind. The act of writing helps clarify your thoughts and feelings, making them less threatening and more manageable. Moreover, by transferring your worries to a physical space, you create a symbolic separation between you and your negative thoughts, which can be incredibly liberating. After writing down your worries, take a moment to reflect on them. Ask yourself which are realistic, which can be resolved, and which are mere speculations without a basis in reality. Often, by visualizing our worries outside of the mind, we realize they may be exaggerated or unfounded. Set a regular time to review the content of your worry jar. This can be done daily, weekly, or as needed. During this review time, evaluate each worry individually and decide if it still deserves your attention or can be discarded. For the worries that remain relevant, think of practical actions you can take to resolve them. The worry jar technique not only helps to lessen the intensity of negative thoughts, but also promotes a more proactive approach to dealing with concerns. It encourages problem-solving and decision-making, which can increase the sense of control and reduce anxiety. By practicing this technique regularly, you can become more adept at handling negativity constructively and maintaining a more balanced and positive perspective on life's challenges. Reducing perfectionism. This is a crucial step in eliminating negative thoughts, as perfectionism often generates disproportionate internal pressure and self-criticism. The desire to meet unrealistic standards can lead to constant feelings of failure, dissatisfaction, and fear of making mistakes, fueling a cycle of negative thoughts. To tackle perfectionism, start by recognizing and accepting that perfection is an unattainable goal and that making mistakes is part of the learning and growth process. Acknowledge that perfectionism is not synonymous with excellence or success. Instead, it can be a barrier to productivity and personal satisfaction. Challenge the need to be perfect by questioning the validity and origin of your perfectionist beliefs. Reflect on the consequences of perfectionism, such as the additional stress it brings and how it affects your health and well-being. Try to identify specific situations where your perfectionism manifests and consider healthier and more realistic ways to approach them. Set realistic and flexible goals for yourself, acknowledging that perfection is an impossible objective. Learn to value progress and effort rather than focusing solely on the final outcomes. Celebrate your achievements and progress, no matter how small, and treat mistakes as learning opportunities. Practice self-compassion by treating yourself kindly and understandingly when things don't go as planned. Remember that you are human and that everyone has limitations and flaws. By adopting a more understanding and less critical attitude toward yourself, you can lessen internal pressure and create a healthier and more positive mental space. Reducing perfectionism does not mean abandoning standards or the pursuit of improvement, but rather adopting a more balanced and gentle approach toward yourself. By doing so, you can alleviate the burden of negative thoughts and create an environment more conducive to personal growth and satisfaction. Abandonment technique. This tactic involves a conscious decision to let go of a negative thought, replacing it with a focus on something tangible and productive within reality. This method is based on the idea that you can control where you direct your attention and, by extension, influence your emotional state. When a negative thought arises, acknowledge it, but choose not to engage with it. Instead, divert your attention to an activity or object in the real world that requires your concentration and energy. It can be something simple, like practicing a hobby, completing a work task, meeting with friends, or even physical activity. This shift in focus allows you to break out of the cycle of negative rumination and engage in something productive, which in turn generates feelings of accomplishment and positivity. Engaging in activities that you find interesting or rewarding creates a barrier against the penetration of disruptive thoughts, offering a form of healthy escapism and a reset of your mental perspective. In addition to providing immediate relief, this technique promotes long-term change in your response to negative thoughts. With practice, you will develop the ability to quickly disconnect from negative thought patterns, redirecting your energy toward more constructive and meaningful actions in your life. Critical questioning. This is a powerful approach to combat negative thoughts, encouraging deep analysis of their validity and origin. This method involves cultivating a questioning mindset where instead of accepting negative thoughts as absolute truths, you challenge and scrutinize them critically. When a negative thought arises, instead of feeding it or allowing it to unfold into a spiral of rumination, ask questions like, is this really true? Are there concrete evidences that support this thought? Is this thought based on facts or assumptions? And what is the worst thing that can happen, and how could I deal with it? These questions help to identify whether your thoughts are cognitive distortions, such as overgeneralization or catastrophic thinking. Adopting this critical approach allows you to see your thoughts in a different light, reducing their emotional impact and disarming their ability to disturb your peace of mind. Moreover, by actively questioning the validity and origin of your negative thoughts, you prevent them from gaining strength and control over your emotions and actions. Developing the habit of critical questioning also increases your mental resilience, as you become more adaptable and less affected by cognitive distortions or erroneous perceptions. With regular practice, this technique strengthens your ability to face challenges and adverse situations with a more balanced and rational perspective, significantly reducing the influence of negative thoughts in your life. Cognitive reframing. This approach involves consciously changing the way you perceive an event or situation, seeking out positive aspects or valuable lessons, even in unfavorable circumstances. Instead of dwelling on the negative aspects or consequences of a situation, cognitive reframing encourages identifying potential benefits or growth opportunities. For example, a failure or mistake can be seen not as a defeat, but as a chance for learning and personal development. A stressful situation can be reevaluated as a test of your resilience or an opportunity to practice patience and understanding. By practicing cognitive reframing, you learn to control your emotional response to events, directing your focus towards the aspects that are under your control and can be improved. This does not mean ignoring negative aspects or denying reality, but rather choosing a perspective that minimizes the negative impact on your emotional well-being. This shift in perspective can lead to a significant reduction in stress and anxiety, as you begin to view challenges as opportunities for growth. Moreover, by adopting a more positive view, you can increase your motivation and optimism, which in turn can lead to better outcomes and more satisfying relationships. Stop technique. This is an effective method to interrupt negative thoughts as soon as they emerge, using verbal or physical commands. This strategy allows you to gain immediate control over your mind, preventing destructive thoughts from intensifying or prolonging. When you notice that you are beginning to engage in a negative thought pattern, immediately use a stop command. This can be something as simple as telling yourself, "Stop, enough," or another term that signals the interruption of the thought. Some individuals may prefer a physical gesture, such as snapping fingers, clapping hands, or touching an object that serves as a talisman or a reminder to interrupt the chain of negative thoughts. Using this technique, it's important to act decisively. The stop command should be clear, firm, and immediate to be effective. After interrupting the negative thought, it's helpful to redirect your attention to something neutral or positive, such as an activity you enjoy, a pleasant memory, or a task that requires focus. The stop technique can be especially useful in moments of stress or anxiety when negative thoughts tend to be more prevalent. Practicing this technique regularly can help reduce the frequency and intensity of negative thoughts, providing greater mental clarity and emotional well-being. It's important to note that while the stop technique can be effective for momentarily interrupting negative thoughts, it should be used in conjunction with other strategies for long-term thought management, such as cognitive reframing or meditation. With constant practice, this technique can become a valuable tool in your mental toolbox for maintaining a more positive and focused mind. Positive social connection. Spending time with people who radiate positivity and optimism can have a significant impact on your mental and emotional state. These interactions can not only improve your mood, but also provide a new perspective that challenges negative thought patterns. The people around us can profoundly influence our state of mind. Therefore, it's crucial to choose companionships that contribute to your well-being. Positive individuals tend to share optimistic worldviews, inspiring stories, and words of encouragement, which can help divert your mind from unfounded worries and fears. Moreover, good social relationships offer support in difficult times, helping to alleviate stress and anxiety. Spending time with friends or family members who bring good memories and laughter can be extremely therapeutic and an effective antidote against negativity. On the other hand, it's equally important to avoid toxic and negative people. Interacting with individuals who drain your energy, constantly criticize, or view the world negatively can reinforce your own negative thoughts and lower your mood. Distancing or limiting contact with these people may be necessary to preserve your mental and emotional health. In summary, making a conscious effort to cultivate and maintain positive social connections can be one of the most effective tools in the fight against negative thoughts. These connections not only provide joy and comfort, but can also positively influence your worldview and self-esteem. Therefore, invest in relationships that uplift and help you grow, while protecting yourself from the negativity that certain interactions can bring. Practice acts of kindness. Such practice promotes feelings of happiness, gratitude, and fulfillment for both the receiver and the practitioner. Performing acts of kindness triggers a series of positive reactions in the brain, releasing neurotransmitters associated with well-being, such as serotonin and dopamine. By focusing on being kind to others, you shift the focus from negative thoughts and concerns to positive and altruistic actions. This can help reduce stress, improve mood, and increase the feeling of connection and belonging. Moreover, kindness often generates a positive response from others, creating a virtuous cycle of positivity and gratitude. Acts of kindness don't have to be grand or expensive. Small gestures can have a significant impact. It could be something as simple as complimenting someone, offering assistance, sharing a smile, or dedicating time to listen to someone in need. Even anonymous acts of kindness, such as leaving a positive note for someone or donating to a cause you value, can boost your feelings of happiness and satisfaction. Practicing kindness also encourages empathy and understanding towards others, which can help combat feelings of isolation, envy, or resentment. This reinforces the perception that we are all connected and that our actions can have a positive impact on the world around us. Focus on progress. When you focus on progress rather than solely on the final outcome, you begin to value the process and the journey. This allows you to see value and purpose in each action and decision, reducing the pressure and frustration that often accompany the pursuit of perfect results. Celebrating progress, no matter how small, can boost self-esteem, reinforce belief in your own abilities, and promote a more positive mindset. To implement this approach, start by setting clear and measurable goals, breaking them down into smaller, more manageable steps. Acknowledge and celebrate every achievement, no matter how modest, as a reflection of your effort and dedication. This can include personal rewards, sharing your accomplishments with friends, or simply allowing yourself a moment of pride and satisfaction. Additionally, maintaining a progress journal or a list of achievements can help visualize how far you have come, reinforcing the importance of each step taken. This is particularly useful in moments of doubt or discouragement, as it reminds you of previous successes and renews optimism. Adopting a progress-oriented mindset also means learning from mistakes and failures, viewing them as opportunities for growth and development rather than insurmountable obstacles. This helps maintain a positive attitude, even in the face of challenges, and keeps negative thoughts at bay. By focusing on progress and celebrating each step along the way, you cultivate a growth mindset that values learning and continuous improvement. This not only helps eliminate negative thoughts, but also creates a virtuous cycle of self-confidence, achievement, and positive well-being, propelling you toward your goals with a happier and more optimistic perspective. Recognition and acceptance. Recognizing and accepting negative thoughts as a natural part of the human experience is a crucial step to reduce their influence and prevent excessive rumination. This process begins with the awareness that having negative thoughts is a common occurrence and not necessarily a reflection of personal failures or weaknesses. Mindfully identifying these thoughts allows you to observe them without judgment, understanding that they are simply products of the mind and not absolute truths about you or your life. Accepting these thoughts without trying to suppress or fight them can lessen their emotional and cognitive impact. Instead of entering a cycle of self-criticism or frustrated attempts to completely eliminate negative thoughts, you learn to allow them to exist without letting them define your actions or emotional state. A useful technique to facilitate this process is the practice of mindfulness, which encourages the observation of one's own thoughts and feelings in the present moment with acceptance and without judgment. This helps to develop a healthier relationship with your thoughts, recognizing them as transient and not as immutable aspects of yourself. Acceptance also involves understanding that negative thoughts, though uncomfortable, can be a source of insight and personal growth. They can indicate areas of your life that need attention or change, functioning as a signal for action rather than being seen as insurmountable obstacles. Adopting an attitude of acceptance does not mean resigning or giving up on seeking improvements in your life and emotional well-being. On the contrary, recognizing and accepting negative thoughts as part of the human condition creates a space to address them constructively, focusing on solutions and personal growth rather than being stuck in a cycle of negativity. By practicing recognition and acceptance, you can significantly reduce the power that negative thoughts have over you, allowing you to move beyond them with greater ease and resilience. This process of conscious acceptance helps to relieve the burden of these thoughts, paving the way for a more balanced and positive outlook on life. Thank you for watching. Since you've made it to the end, please comment Armored Wisdom. I'll leave here 2 video suggestions that you might like. See you soon.